Reese Williams, 400-metre hurdles champion, European champion, fresh from Helsinki. Greg Rutherford, long jump, world lead in long jump this year. Andy Hunt, Team GB chef de mission. Charles Van Comenay, UK Athletics head coach and athletics team leader. Yami Aldama, world indoor triple jump champion. And we've got Adam Jamili, who is our world lead this year in men's 100. Also in
juniors.
And the world juniors. Also in the front row we've got Lisa Zabriskie, Goldie Sayers, Anika Anura, Andrew Asagi and Sophie Hitchin, and everyone's available for interview a bit later on. So first of all I'd like to hand over to Andy to say a few words, please.
Thank you, Claire. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Team GB Athletics selection announcement for the London 2012 Olympic Games. With just 24 days to go until the opening ceremony, and as we approach the very final few days of selecting the team for London 2012, it gives me great pleasure to announce today the 71 track and field athletes who represent Team GB this summer. Added to the 6 marathon athletes already selected, the 77 athletes that have been announced today represent the largest athletic squad Team GB has taken to Olympic Games since Barcelona in 1992. And we're delighted that these athletes have earned the opportunity to compete on home soil as part of our greatest team. The athletics team have made excellent progress since Beijing, and the squad selected today includes a depth of exciting talent, many of whom have reached the podium on the international stage in the last 2 years. This includes world and newly crowned European champion Mo Farah, World European Commonwealth 400-metre hurdles champion Di Green, 2011 World Silver medalist Jess Ennis, Philip Sadowo and Hannah England, as well as reigning 400-metre Olympic champion Christina Horogu, and reigning World Indoor Triple Jump gold medalist Yamali Odama. I'm delighted that Goldie Sayers, who narrowly missed out on a podium spot when finishing 4th in Beijing, joins us today too, as well as Commonwealth silver medalist and current world #1 in the men's long jump, Greg Rutherford. Along the wealth of experience, London 2012 will also present a number of Team GB Olympic debutants, including 18-year-old Adam Jamili, who heads the UK 100-metre rankings, as well as world indoor bronze medalist Andrew Asagi and current world junior champion Sophie Hitchin. Also selected to Team GB and joining us here in Team GB House today are Anika Anura, who will compete in the women's 200 metres, Lisa Zabriskie, who races in the 1500 metres, and Reese Williams, who will contest the 400 metres hurdles. With the passionate and enthusiastic vocal support of the 80,000 strong home crowd in the stadium and the 60 million people across this nation at home, I have every confidence that our track and field athletes will rise to the occasion and inspire many future generations with their performances on the track and in the field, just a javelin throw away from here in the Olympic Park this summer. With the addition of 71 track and field athletes, we've now officially selected 502 athletes across 25 sports. In total, Team GB will approximately consist of 550 athletes across 26 Olympic sports and 39 disciplines, and they will be our greatest team. My congratulations to all of the track and field athletes on your selection to Team GB, and welcome to the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Now I'd like to introduce Charles Van Comenay, head coach for athletics, to say a few words on his team selection.
Yeah, we selected 77 athletes. As Andy already mentioned, it's a much bigger team than in previous years. Last time we had 58 and then 54. So having selected now 77 athletes is already indication that we're making good progress. Also because it was never our intention to select the biggest possible team. We selected in order to get the strongest possible team. I think it's also a very strong team because of all the performances mentioned by Andy. I think we've had in British collective memory of sporting moments a lot of great moments in athletics, moments provided by Jonathan Edwards and then Daley Thompson and Seth Coe and then Sally Gunnell. And I think we have a team here that has the potential to add to those memorable moments that we were looking for. It was a difficult selection process. It was done straight on the back of our trip to Helsinki, the European Championships. We had that selection meeting on yesterday afternoon and evening. It took 6 hours, and it was done very thoroughly. And the outcome are the names that you've been given an hour ago. That's all for me.
Thank you, Charles. Before we open up the floor to questions, I'd like to put a few questions to the team. Starting with you, Rhys, you're the newest medalist up here, I think. Congratulations. Stunning win at the Europeans, but it's been an incredible 15 days for you. You fell in the final at the trials and thought you might have blown your Olympic selection. Come back, win a European Championship medal, and now you're here within 15 days. How's that emotion gone?
Well, to sum up, it's relief. I missed the 2008 Olympics, and I thought the same was going to happen again. What is it with this 4-year cycle? It's a relief to be in the team, and now it's work ahead.
And Yamali, it's been a long journey for you. How does it feel to be here today as a member of Team GB?
It feels really good. I'm really happy, even though I'm not showing too much emotion, but inside I'm really happy to be here, be part of this team. It's amazing.
Excellent stuff. I think we'll open up the floor now. Have we got microphones, Phil? Or do we not need them? Everyone in foghorn like me. Okay, open up the floor to questions. James.
James Pearce, BBC. A question for Andy Hunt. On the list of 71 names, you've got 2 people here, Karl Markov and Dwayne Chambers. Your organisation, the BOA, fought very hard to exclude from the team. Now that you see their names here and you welcome them into the squad, how does that make you feel?
I think we always said that once the final fell away, any athlete that's eligible to compete for Team GB would be welcomed into the team. There is no two-tier team. We'll absolutely treat every athlete in the same way. We'll give every athlete the same support, and I would expect every athlete in a similar way to commit to being part of Team GB and one Team GB and everything that that stands up for.
Are you worried that other athletes might not embrace that at all?
No, I'm not worried about it at all. I think we've been very clear. We will embrace any athlete, including those you've named, absolutely into the team. They're welcome to the team. We'll give them the best support, and hopefully they'll achieve the best performance possible. Very happy about that.
Next question. Simon?
Question for Charles. You've given Lindsay Sharp a huge vote of confidence. You've given her a place since you've not been able to select all 3 places. Can you just explain the thinking of you and your selectors behind that decision?
Yeah. I mentioned it was a selection meeting that took 6 hours. 2 hours of those 6 were spent on one event, 800 meters women. There were 5 women in contention, basically. 4 of them had A standards, multiple A standards. 1, Lindsay Sharp, had a few B standards. The panel had to decide whether it would go for 1 athlete with B standards, or 1, 2, or 3 on A standards. Because once you've had an athlete on B standards ended, you can't fill it up. That's international regulations. Now, after all these deliberations and thoughts and arguments that were compared, it was decided that most important is to have the right performance at the right time. Lots of people have the right performance at the wrong time. Lindsay Sharp has done very good business recently and performed at the trials, beat everybody, did very well at the European Championships, beat their athletes who have run 157, 158, 159, beat Gemma Simpson in both occasions. And we decided that Lindsay Sharp is the one with the best current form. This was difficult basically because not one of these athletes actually took control of their own destiny. That's why it was very difficult. The athletes made it difficult by not doing what they're supposed to do. Once a selection panel has to spend 2 hours on selection, that's already a bad sign, in fact. Anyway, the panel is convinced that the athlete is selected who has best chances to perform at the games.
Geraint?
Charles, if I could just stick on the discussion about the 800 metres. Jenny Meadows obviously has had injury problems, but she said time and time again she will be ready for the Olympics. She's a proven performer on the international stage. Just how difficult a decision was it to leave Jenny Meadows out, considering what she has been saying over the past few months? Bear with me, I will get fit.
Yeah, very difficult, because she has a proven track record, which is much more than just one performance. She's absolutely a world-class athlete. However, she hasn't raced since the World Championships in Daegu. She hasn't not raced this year, and she had every intention to compete in Helsinki, but after traveling, her Achilles tendon already reacted badly and was not able to compete last week. That was a very important factor there.
She will appeal probably, and most likely how will that influence your thinking?
The anticipation that athletes may appeal doesn't affect any decision. That's it.
Vicky?
I know you're a huge fan of Twitter. Marilyn's already said on Twitter she's quitting. However, she's also named in the relay team. Has she indicated anything to you about that? Within a minute of the team being put out, she's tweeted she's quitting.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Has she said anything about the relay?
As you can imagine, receiving the news that you're not part of you can't compete in your favorite event at the Olympic Games, is very emotional to digest. It's very difficult. It's also, I can tell you, not easy to give that news. So when I spoke to her on the phone, she indicated that she would quit. I want to see first how that goes in the next few days. It's very emotional. She is selected for the 4x4, and I don't expect an athlete to be very ready for that news and rational, and want to give it some time to see how that goes.
Next question. Simon?
Yeah, just on the 800, Charles, could you, presumably you've spoken to Jenny, do you have any idea if she told you whether she's going to lodge an appeal?
Yeah, it's not relevant actually, because athletes have to appeal within 24 hours. So we'll know by 1 o'clock tomorrow. And the outcome of every appeal will be on Friday afternoon. It's a short process. It's a solid process. It's very clear. So anticipating what might happen is not very relevant in this case.
Leon?
Did you speak individually to all those in the team and all those not in the team?
No.
Or did you just pick a few that you knew would be surprised?
It's physically impossible. We selected yesterday up until 8 o'clock p.m. In modern age, you cannot expect news not to be broken for the press conference when you speak to athletes 12 hours before. So these conversations took place in the last hour or so before the news was released, and I cannot call about 100 athletes in an hour.
Can you tell us
So,
how many?
I'll tell you more. So, a few of my colleagues, selectors, spoke to a few. The automatic ones knew already since the trials that they were selected, so didn't need a phone call. I decided that I had to speak to the most difficult ones, the ones who would be probably more emotional and probably were counting on selection. I did not manage to speak to Gemma Simpson because he didn't pick up the phone, but I left a message. The rest I managed to speak to personally.
Charles, Kami in there on Channel 4 News. Can you share with us who your captain is going to be and why you chose the name?
That's for another time.
When will you decide?
Huh?
When will you decide?
In the next 2 days. We had to select first, and then up until yesterday night, I didn't know who were going to be in the team.
Phil?
Charles, was Lindsay one of those you managed to speak to, and if so, what was her reaction?
No, I didn't have time to speak to her yet. It's I think more relevant to give the bad news than the good news. The ones who received the good news don't need to be looked after, I think, at the moment.
Simon?
Charles, you mentioned that Marilyn was very emotional when you told her the news. Were Emma and Jenny similarly emotional?
I don't want to go into the details of personal conversations. I answered that question previously because it had consequences for the 4x4, and therefore I shared some of the information, but I don't tend to go into details of personal conversations between an athlete and myself.
Alex?
Charles, you've got a target of 8 medals at the game. When you look around this team, are you confident you've got the athletes to get those medals?
The word confidence would suggest that you're certain, and in sports I've learned that doesn't exist. So I think we have the potential, but there's a lot of opposition in the arena, and they're preparing. They take that seriously as well. We have some strong athletes, and it is possible. But to say that I'm confident, that goes a bit too far.
Charles, you mentioned at the beginning the great athletics legacy of Great Britain. How important do you think a strong performance by your team is to the success of the Games as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Athletics is an important part of the Olympics. So I would think that if we don't deliver, that it's an omission.
Just following on from that, how will you prepare these athletes for the pressure of the people who organise these Olympics, who said the success of the Games is judged on what they do on the track in that stadium, not on whether the trains are on time? How do you prepare them for that?
Well, this is a process that has been going on for a number of years. You can't start preparing now. and then expecting athletes to perform really well in 5 weeks' time. That is mainly a matter of good coaching on a day-to-day basis, and some need some additional support from experts, sports psychologists. But it's 90% of the job is done by the coaches, and I help here and there as well.
Charles, when the selection process started, would you ever have envisaged a situation like you've had with the 800, where you've selected one athlete with B standards? Did you ever think that would arise?
I never exclude anything. It was very complicated, and it's not like you can design such a scenario, but it's not unique. Every 4 years there are difficult nuts to crack. I remember 4 years ago there was some controversial decisions we made about 400 hurdles women, where the winner of the trials was not selected. And the one who was selected actually ended up with a bronze medal at the Games, Tasha Danvers. The times of Daley Thompson, Seth Coe, also very controversial. So it's every 4 years, and this time it was 800 meters women.
You mentioned obviously it was a 6-hour meeting, that took 2 hours. Were there any other major difficult decisions?
Yes. There are a few cases that athletes were not selected because they didn't show current form. They were selectable, but the panel decided not to select. An example is Jade Nichols in the discus, and Richard Kilty in the 200 meters. But also a few relay runners.
I wonder what your relationship now is with Philippe Zidowu, and secondly, how would you nurture a budding talent like Adam to make sure that he stays on the straight and narrow path?
As you can imagine, we had the trials. I spoke to the press about Philippe Zidowu not showing up at the trials at the time. Since then I was at the trials for 3 days. I flew into Helsinki, was there for 7 days. Straight on the back of that there was selection. Philippe Zidowu has not been on my mind for the last 9 or 10 days. As far as Adam is concerned, he's a very bright, level-headed boy who can mainly look after himself. But he has got a good coach and a very stable family around him, so I have no concerns.
Is there anybody in this team selected who is subject to fitness?
No. That doesn't exist.
They don't have to perform at the Palace or Paris or anywhere.
They're selected.
To prove that they're selected.
At the moment. So once there is doubt, further on down the line, I will look into it.
And privately, on paper somewhere in a hidden safe, is your list of reserves.
Yes, but we won't announce that that's a POA policy.
You've communicated those presumably to Andy and his team?
Yes.
Yeah, could I just ask Charles on Philip's fitness, are you any further towards knowing how fit he is, and obviously with Yanni as well as being maybe Yanni could tell us herself, well, both Philip's and Yanni.
I could tell you that my shoulder is, at the moment, is 90%, so it's still 4 weeks to go, and I'm pretty confident that I will be fine in 4 weeks' time. No problems.
So you already competed a few days ago.
Exactly, so it's fine.
And as far as Phillips is concerned, you know, the last 9 days, I really had 10 days, had something else in my mind. He's programmed to compete in the London Crystal Palace. That's as far as I know, the last about 2 weeks ago.
Any others want to break up now and do the round table? We're going to do that. Okay, thank you everyone. Phil, I think will guide you in the right direction.